April 3, 1982. A remote stretch of road in Prince George's County, Maryland. The smell hit the investigators first. Charred flesh, gasoline, a putrid stench that would cling to their clothes for weeks. Then they saw what was left of her, burned beyond recognition, hands severed to prevent identification. It's a kind of calculated brutality that makes hardened detectives question humanity itself. But the killer, Jerry Bay, had made one fatal mistake. He couldn't stop bragging about what he and his partner had done to the 22-year-old college student they'd found stranded on this very road just hours before. What started as a simple car breakdown had turned into a night of unimaginable torture in an abandoned shack deep in the Maryland woods. And when Stephanie Roer accidentally learned one of their names, her fate was sealed. This wasn't just murder. This was a crime so brutal, so shocking, it would rewrite American law forever. This is the story of Stephanie Roer. Welcome to the Shadow Files crime series. Tonight's case will shake you to your core. Take a moment to hit subscribe, drop a like, and please let us know where you're watching from. And now, we begin. Spring 1982. America is caught between two worlds. Ronald Reagan's optimism fills the airwaves. Morning in America, they call it. But in the shadows, a different reality is taking hold. Across the nation, violent crime is spiking. The FBI reports that a murder occurs every 23 minutes. Serial killers like the Green River Killer are hunting in the Pacific Northwest. In Atlanta, children are disappearing from their neighborhoods. The golden age of the suburban dream is cracking, and nowhere feels truly safe anymore. In rural Maryland, this new fear creeps along country roads that have connected farming communities for generations. Prince George's County, a patchwork of small towns, tobacco farms, and endless stretches of dark asphalt where a broken-down car means you're truly alone. And if the unthinkable happened to you or someone you loved, the justice system had a brutal message. You don't matter. Victims' families were legal ghosts. No right to speak, no right to know, no right to be heard. The court served everyone except those who needed them most. 22 years old in the spring of 1982, Stephanie Roer embodied everything hopeful about her generation. Born and raised in Crewe, Maryland, a farming community where Friday night high school football still mattered and everyone knew their neighbors' first names. Her father, Vincent, built houses with his hands. Her mother, Roberta, kept the family grounded with Sunday dinners and unwavering moral principles. They raised Stephanie to believe that hard work, kindness, and faith could overcome any obstacle. At Frostburg State University, Stephanie was training to become an elementary school teacher, not because the pay was good, but because she genuinely believed she could change lives. Her professors noted her natural ability to connect with children who struggled, her patience with those who needed extra help. Friends remember her infectious laugh. She carried a camera everywhere, capturing moments others missed, documenting a world she genuinely loved. She volunteered at literacy programs during breaks, helping adults learn to read, work that paid nothing but meant everything to her. That spring, she'd fallen in love. Close friends whispered about post-graduation plans, maybe an engagement ring. Her journal from those weeks overflows with excitement about the future. Graduate school, maybe the Peace Corps, definitely a classroom full of eager young minds. On April 3, 1982, Stephanie was home on college break, excited about an evening with friends in Washington, D.C. She'd just received glowing evaluations from her student teaching supervisor. Life was exactly where it should be. She kissed her parents goodbye that evening, promising to drive carefully on the dark country roads between D.C. and home. She had no idea that in the darkness of Prince George's County, two predators were already on the hunt, waiting for someone exactly like her to need help. Every monster has an origin story. Jerry Lee Bay, 17, and his 24-year-old partner, Jack Jones, were a volatile mix of petty crime and unchecked rage. They were drifters, living off stolen goods and whatever they could coerce from vulnerable people. The two were driving a stolen vehicle that night, looking for their next opportunity, when they spotted a disabled car on the side of a rural road, Stephanie Roer's car. When Stephanie accepted their offer of help, she sealed her own fate. Instead of taking her to a service station, Bay and Jones drove her deep into the woods to an abandoned shack. What happened next was hours of torture and sexual assault. Stephanie fought back, struggling to survive, but the men overpowered her. During the prolonged assault, Stephanie called one of the attackers by his name, a slip that proved fatal. She knew who they were, and they knew they couldn't let her live. The decision was cold, swift, and designed to terrorize. After killing Stephanie, they drove her body to a remote field. To destroy any chance of identification, they severed her hands and set her body on fire. This was not a crime of passion. This was a calculated, brutal attempt to erase Stephanie Roer from existence. The methods used were so horrific that the first responding officers required mandatory counseling, a level of calculated cruelty that shattered the investigators' professional detachment. The investigation began immediately, but the breakthrough came not from forensics, but from a careless conversation. Jerry Bay, incapable of holding his horrific secret, couldn't stop bragging about the murder to acquaintances. This trail of whispered boastings eventually led detectives to Bay and Jones. Both men were arrested and charged. The trial that followed was agonizing for Stephanie's family, who sat day after day in court, listening to the gruesome details of their daughter's final hours. Under the laws of 1982, victims' families were relegated to the spectator benches, legally forbidden from offering statements or input during the process. They were ghosts in their own tragedy. In 1983, Jerry Bay was convicted of murder, kidnapping, and rape, and was sentenced to death. Jack Jones was convicted of first-degree murder and also received the death penalty. Both men spent decades on Maryland's death row. But the legacy of Stephanie Roer's murder extends far beyond her killer's fate. Her parents, Vincent and Roberta Roer, channeled their unimaginable grief into a movement that changed American law. They fought relentlessly for the rights of crime victims to be recognized and heard. Their advocacy led directly to the passage of Maryland's Victims' Rights Amendment, which guaranteed victims and their families the right to be present, to be notified, and to speak at every critical stage of the criminal justice process, including sentencing and parole hearings. This movement spread across the country, fundamentally reshaping how the justice system treats those who are harmed by crime. Stephanie's kindness, her dreams of teaching, and her life were brutally stolen on a dark road in 1982, but because of the relentless fight of her parents, her death did not fade into a forgotten statistic. It became a powerful catalyst for change, ensuring that no other family would ever have to feel like legal ghosts in their own pursuit of justice. Jerry Bay and Jack Jones were eventually executed by the state of Maryland in 2017 and 2018, respectively. But the true closure for the Roer family, and for the detectives haunted by the sheer cruelty of the crime, was the permanent legal change that emerged from their suffering. That is the enduring legacy of Stephanie Roer,